Hello, my horde of mind-bangers. It's time to dip our toe in the Severance theory pool again. Brr! It's colder than my mom's look when I drink out of the gravy boat without using a glass. Somehow, drinking turkey gravy from a glass misses the point, you know? Anyway, here we are again. Now, off to the theory chamber. Severance is a simulation, and we have the receipts. Alright, Severance fans, it's time to put on our tinfoil hats and go deep. Real deep. We're talking simulation-level deep. What if everything? Mark, Lumon, the break room, the baby goats, even Milchick's unsettlingly enthusiastic dance moves is all part of a simulation. What if we're watching The Matrix, but with more awkward office small talk and existential dread? Look, I know the simulation hypothesis gets thrown around for just about everything these days, but hear me out. Severance is practically begging us to question reality, and there are way too many weird details to ignore. The case for the whole thing being a simulation. First off, let's talk about that severance procedure. The whole idea is that it splits consciousness between work life and home life, with neither version of the self aware of the other. But what if the severance process isn't about splitting consciousness? It's about placing consciousness into a fabricated world. What if the innies are literally just digital constructs, programmed personalities inside a controlled environment? Lumon could be running a massive experiment, creating simulated personalities to see how they function under different conditions. The severance chip isn't severing anything, it's just the interface, the connection between the simulation and the real world. But wait, it gets weirder. The state of PE, which doesn't exist, one of the biggest clues that something is deeply off, the state of PE. Now, unless we all collectively missed a memo, there is no state called PE in the United States. Yet, multiple characters have IDs and addresses listing this non-existent location. Why does this matter? Because if you were designing a simulation and didn't want the subjects to leave, you'd create a limited, enclosed world with just enough reality to be convincing, but not so much that anyone could actually leave. Think about it. In video games, how often do you get fully detailed, explorable cities? Not often. Instead, you get a few streets, maybe some recognizable landmarks, but there's always a boundary. PE could be a sign that the world of Severance isn't real. It's just a well-designed cage. Orct looked like a holodeck. Remember the Outie recreational therapy and behavioral observation, Oro scene? Yeah, that snowy wilderness where they left poor Irving to suffer? Didn't that feel off? Like a little too set-like? I half expected a door to appear in the snow, leading right back to Lumon's beige hallways. The whole thing had the same uncanny artificial feeling as a Star Trek holodeck, like it was just one glitch away from flickering out of existence. And if that's true, if Lumon can just generate artificial environments for their employees to suffer in, then that's another massive clue that we're dealing with a simulation. The testing floor is just a series of reality simulators. Then there's the testing floor. We've seen some truly bizarre rooms down there, like something out of Black Mirror but with worse lighting. But what if the testing floor isn't just about psychological torture? What if each room is testing different simulated realities? Gemma's many Innie versions are a major clue here. Every time her Outie walks into a room, a different version of her Innie activates, like different characters loading into a game. Some versions endure physical pain, while others experience psychological manipulation. One room seemed to have an airplane simulator, hinting that they were testing her response to air travel anxiety. Another room, the thank you note room, seemed to be in the past. The theory? The testing floor is where Lumon runs different reality simulations, checking to see how memories, emotions, and consciousness transfer across different versions of the same person. The damn theory. Gemma remembers the pain. One of the wildest clues came when Gemma muttered "damn" after seeing a dentist's outfit. It wasn't much, but it was enough. It meant she remembered something. Even though her innies are supposed to be wiped clean, something leaked through. Now, if this were a normal psychological experiment, you'd assume it was just a flaw in the severance system. But if we're dealing with a simulation, this is way more interesting. What if Gemma is like a character in a game remembering previous playthroughs? What if every version of her experiences something different, and little bits of trauma carry over? It's not just memory, it's data persistence. And that would mean the innies aren't just split versions of their outies. They're something else entirely. The ant farm theory. If the simulation theory is true, then it also answers another big question. What the hell is Lumon actually doing? Think about it. What if Lumon isn't a company at all? What if it's a research facility inside the simulation? Maybe they're studying human behavior. Maybe they're trying to create a workforce of simulated beings that can operate without real-world distractions. Or maybe, just maybe they're testing souls. Yeah, I said it. If the innies are digital constructs, but they start to develop real memories, emotions, and personalities, at what point do they become real? If an innie can form independent thoughts, does it mean it has a soul? And if so, what happens if you take that soul and transfer it into a real body? Lumon might be trying to bridge the gap between artificial and organic consciousness. And the innies? They're the test subjects. So what does it all mean? If Severance really is a simulation, then we're looking at a much bigger story than corporate dystopia. This isn't just about workplace oppression. This is about reality itself. Are the outies even real, or are they just another layer of the simulation? What happens if an innie escapes? Do they even exist outside Lumon? And most importantly, who's running the simulation? Is it Kier? Is it some unknown force even higher up? Final thoughts. The idea that Severance is a simulation makes way too much sense. Between the fake state of PE, the weird holodeck-like feel of Oratibo, the way the testing floor plays out like a VR experiment, and the bizarre persistence of memory leaks, everything is pointing to the fact that reality in this show is not what it seems. And if that's true, then we have to ask, are we even watching the real world? Or is this just one level of a much bigger game? Either way, one thing's for sure. Severance is messing with our heads, and I love every second of it. Pretty dramatic, wasn't it? I've been practicing my drama voice. It's like my O face, but actually exists. Well, that's it for Severance for now. But I can feel a new theory forming now. Be sure to come back next time to see if it was just a new pimple. Remember to like, subscribe, and share with friends. You could also rub it on the back. Really good.